Mere days after she threw multiple public temper tantrums when Democrats correctly referred to MAGA as a cult that worships Donald Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene spoke at a Trump rally in Las Vegas, where she publicly compared Trump, an adjudicated fraudster and an adjudicated rapist and a convicted felon, to Jesus Christ. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to look at in this video. One of the funny things about MAGA Republicans, and it's darkly funny because it's also quite dangerous, is that they have no sense of consistency, no sense of self-awareness or irony. They'll say something on Monday, completely contradict themselves on Tuesday, and then spend the rest of the week having never acknowledged or even realized the contradiction. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is really the embodiment of that notion, that cognitive dissonance. And so this is what she had to say at the time of recording today at a public Trump rally in Las Vegas, where she compared Donald Trump, a convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist, an adjudicated fraudster, to her purported savior, Jesus Christ.
The Democrats and the fake news media want to constantly talk about, oh, President Trump is a convicted felon. Well, you want to know something? The man that I worship is also a convicted felon.
So to be fair, she didn't actually say Jesus, so I suppose it's possible that she simply repeated herself about Trump. Donald Trump is a convicted felon, and you know what? I also worship Donald Trump, a convicted felon. But obviously she was referring to Jesus because she has reportedly and purportedly and publicly claimed to be a Christian who worships Jesus Christ. Now, what's funny about that? Well, actually, there are a lot of things that are funny about that, but the thing that I'm referring to is just a few days ago, she threw multiple public temper tantrums because Jamie Raskin, a Democratic congressman in the House Oversight Committee, correctly referred to MAGA as a cult that, quote, worships, end quote, Donald Trump. I want to remind you of what Marjorie Taylor Greene had to say about that just a few days ago.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a point of order.
Mr. Griffin,
they accused us of worshiping President Trump. We don't worship President Trump.
Gentlelady will suspend.
We have Jamie Raskin in there accusing us of worshiping Trump, worshiping as a convicted felon.
He is a convicted
well, yeah, so is George Floyd. And everybody, and you all too, the media worship George Floyd. Democrats worship George Floyd. There were riots burning down the fucking country over George Floyd, and Raskin is in there saying we worship him. Excuse me, let me correct you, and this is really important. I don't worship, I worship God. God.
Did you catch that? See, note the lack of self-awareness and the lack of irony and the lack of consistency. She throws a fit. How dare you suggest that she and other MAGA Republicans worship convicted felon Donald Trump? All she does is repeatedly compare him to her purported savior, Jesus Christ, which is quite blasphemous, right? Right? Wouldn't diehard Christians, wouldn't practicing Christians refer to that sort of thing as blasphemy to compare somebody like Donald Trump or really anybody to the Messiah? Strange stuff. But she wasn't the only one, actually, at that public rally. That's the other funny thing. I mean, this isn't a bug of MAGA. It is a feature. Here is Michael McDonald, the chairman of the Republican Party in Nevada. This is what he has to say about Donald Trump. He either makes a tacit admission or a Freudian slip, which is hella funny. See if you catch it.
What more can be said than thank God we're here in Sunset Park to worship and bring back the greatest president we've ever known in our generation.
To worship and bring back Donald Trump, the purported greatest president of our generation. Again, maybe he meant that there was supposed to be a full stop there. We're here to worship and bring back Donald Trump. But the way he said it, again, either a tacit admission or a Freudian slip. And I'm not inclined to give these people the benefit of the doubt with this respect, because MAGA has consistently behaved like a cult since Donald Trump came down that escalator. We've covered it in so many videos. The polling indicates it. Their attitudes about Trump, right? They say that anytime he experiences some sort of setback, so if he's prosecuted or indicted, it's because the judicial system is rigged. If he's arrested, the cops hate him, but they also back the blue and they love the judicial system when black people are being convicted, but not Trump. It works differently for Trump somehow. If he suffers some sort of electoral consequence because the political system is rigged, not because he lost fair and square or because he failed or came up short in some way. He's perfect. He is above or beyond reproach to them. I mean, my God, think of all the people who have either criticized Trump or been deemed insufficiently loyal to Trump, how they are treated by the rest of the Republican Party. It does behave like a cult. It is a cult, right? There's just no question about it. And as a consequence of it, if they don't like, the claims or the insinuations that they worship Trump, then perhaps they should stop behaving like a body that does. Now, the comparisons to Jesus are also interesting. There's this article in Premier Christianity written by a theologian, and he goes at length here, but he's very upset that people compare convicted felon Donald Trump to the Messiah. And so just two excerpts I want to read here, 2 paragraphs. He says, it's a jarring picture for Christians around the world. The former, being Donald Trump, has a reputation for grabbing desperately at power, sex, and money, while the latter, Jesus Christ, preached against all of that, living a life of selfless compassion, feeding the hungry, healing the sick, and welcoming strangers. Unlike Trump, Jesus stayed silent during his trial and accepted his sentence with grace. Through his death and resurrection, he not only proved his own innocence, but offered forgiveness, eternal hope, and peace to all. To make any kind of comparison between Trump and Jesus is serious, if not blasphemous. And again, this was an article written by Krish Kandiah, the director of Sanctuary Foundation and author of Paradoxology, Why Christianity Was Never Meant to Be Simple. Okay. Yeah. So, and again, you can find others like this, like genuine good faith theologians who are like, this is super gross, you shouldn't make this comparison. But MAGA does it all the time. I also want to remind you, because people say this, and this is considered the most hotly contested of all the things. Like MAGA gets triggered when you refer to Trump as a convicted felon. But when he is less frequently referred to as an adjudicated rapist, they get even more upset. But the fact of the matter is, the presiding judge of the E. Jean Carroll sexual abuse defamation case did clarify that under civil terms, under common parlance, what Donald Trump did to E. Jean Carroll in a Bergdorf Goodman department store back in the 1990s, that was rape. He digitally penetrated her against her will. Okay, and he was found, as a matter of law, liable for sexual abuse and then subsequently defamation. So yeah, it's fair to refer to him as an adjudicated rapist, even though it triggers MAGA. How should we refer to Trump? I mean, MAGA refers to him as somebody to worship and, compares him to Christ. Well, I think J.D. Pritzker, the Democratic governor of Illinois, he actually has a better way to refer to Trump, a much more accurate way. Speaking to Wisconsin Dems last night, J.D. Pritzker sums up the case versus Trump in a fashion many Democrats would love their nominee to embrace on the reg, that being President Biden. So J.D. Pritzker says Donald Trump is a convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist, and a congenital liar. He's a racist, sexist, misogynistic narcissist who wants to use the levers of power to enrich himself and punish anyone who dares speak a word against him. He has stolen state secrets, compromised our national security, betrayed our Constitution, and sacrificed the truth to further his own naked ambition. I think that's a pretty accurate way to refer to Donald Trump. And I think instead, if you refer to Trump or compare Trump to Jesus Christ, then it's perfectly fair to say that you're part of a cult and should be made fun of accordingly. So that's to you, Marge. Let me know what you think in the comments.